Really is amazing to think of what they were capable of as teenagers 80 years ago.
And thank you to all of them.
Absolutely. Our continuing debt of gratitude. Well, China now bolstering its efforts to recruit military pilots from the United States and our allies. That warning coming from the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance. Morgan Ortagus is the founder of Polaris National Security. She's a former State Department spokesperson, and she joins us now. So here's what Michael Casey from the National Counterintelligence and Security Center said about this on Wednesday. To overcome their shortcomings with recruiting and training pilots, China's People's Liberation Army has been aggressively recruiting Western military talent to train their aviators, using private firms around the globe to conceal their PLA ties and offer recruits exorbitant salaries. Recent actions by Western governments have impacted these operations, but People's Liberation Army recruitment efforts continue to evolve in response. I don't know how much money they're offering to do this. It must be a lot, but there are some people who are taking them up on it.
You know, and it may be, John, that some of these pilots initially don't know that it's the Chinese military. They may have obfuscated who the actual, intended recipient is. But if something's too good to be true, it probably is. And I think from what I'm reading and assessing, John, that if you don't realize it initially, it's pretty obvious eventually that you are training the Chinese military. And I think it speaks, John, to a broader point that the Chinese Communist Party, the Chinese PLA, this is a sophisticated, talented, creative adversary. This is more of a threat to the United States than the Soviet Union was. Ergo, they have gotten very good at espionage, at surveillance, even at using, I would add, American companies. You know, American companies sometimes think they are doing business with just quote-unquote corporations in China. There's no such thing as a private corporation in China. They are all beholden to the Chinese Communist Party. And some of them, even like firms like McKinsey, massive consulting firms, are actually working for the PLA. And I would just take this moment to say it should be illegal to do business with the Department of Defense in the United States and with the PLA. No American corporation, no pilots should be aiding and abetting the Chinese Communist Party, which will eventually seek to kill our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines.
You mentioned Chinese espionage. Let's put this graph up on the screen and take a look. Since 2000, this is the trend of Chinese spying operations. Back in 01 and 02, it was basically 1 or 0, but look at how it's climbed up. It's gone down a little bit in the last couple of years, but, as we saw from that Chinese spy balloon, they're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was able to traverse the United States, go over sensitive military facilities. But it's not just the, balloon. There are debates about the efficacy of that balloon. They're using drones. There's basically a war going on in space, right, between the United States and China. That happens. We know, the Wall Street Journal has done extensive reporting about how the Chinese Communist Party has infiltrated our infrastructure systems, water systems, electricity systems, even at our ports. They're reportedly, again, according to the Wall Street Journal, in some of the cranes that are used at our ports. So there's almost no way in which the Chinese Communist Party doesn't seek to infiltrate the United States, whether it's buying farmland close to military bases or whether it's trying to recruit a retired pilot to train their people. We can have all the academic debates we want in the U.S. if we're in a Cold War or not. You can call it whatever you want, right? You can use whatever nomenclature you want. The Chinese Communist Party is in a Cold War with the United States.
So the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, C.Q. Brown, who himself was an F-16 pilot, Swamp Thing, sent out this warning to aviators last September. He said, the People's Liberation Army wants to exploit your knowledge and skill to fill gaps in their military capability. And one former U.S. Marine pilot, Daniel Duggan, is in custody in Australia, suspected of illegally training Chinese pilots. Australia has just announced that he is going to be allowed to be extradited back to the United States. Now, you're innocent until proven guilty in this country, but that's an indication that some people are taking up the Chinese on their offer and ignoring what the chairman of the Joint Chiefs will warn.
Yeah. That was an important warning from the chairman. And as I said at the beginning of the segment, if the deal is too good to be true, it probably is. You obviously cannot train the enemy's military and get away with it here in the United States. So people need to be incredibly vigilant, and that includes in what business dealings that you're a part of.
All right, Morgan Ortagus for us. Morgan, great to see you. Thank you. Sandra?